Hello, everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. If you've followed Boomerocity very long at all, you already know that I have interviewed a wonderful artist by the name of Allie Colleen. She comes from a good musical heritage. I'm not going to mention who that is here, but you can probably find it online because I don't want the attention to be drawn there. I want you to focus on her talent because she's an amazing songwriter, artist, and performer. I've seen her perform live once or twice. I have all of her music, and I always look forward to when she has new music coming out, such as now. She has a new single out called Tattoos, and it is amazing. I will warn you, though, if this is the first time you've ever heard Allie, this is a departure from her normal sound. So you're going to hear a different kind of Allie Colleen. So after you hear this, if this is the first time you're tuning in to an Allie Colleen interview, I would encourage you to go check out her other music. It's on all the major streaming platforms. And after you've heard it, I'd recommend buying the music hard copy so you can support our artists even more. So this particular talk, we talk about the new single Tattoos, and pretty interesting. We talk about her career up to this point and what else she's got in on her radar coming in the coming months. So without any further ado, here is my third interview with the great Allie Colleen. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care. Hello, Allie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. You know, I caught myself mentally almost making a mistake, and and it made me think of the question. This is totally off script, by the way. I wonder how many times you get called Colleen instead of Allie. Do you get called Colleen instead at all?
Just Colleen? Just Colleen, no, not often. I think the only one who calls me Colleen would actually be my dad, and he calls me Miss Colleen. But I do get called Colleen all the time. But never just Colleen, not too often.
Okay. And then I bet if your dad says is it when you're in trouble?
He doesn't call me too much when I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? He doesn't call me too much at all. But my mama, though, if there's a Colleen tacked on it, my mama's upset with me.
Yeah. I usually get the full, first, middle, and last name treatment, and that usually meant I was going to hear the snap of a belt too when I was.
Who knows?
Yeah, or a switch, so.
The fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. Stuff that made me what I am today, supposedly. So anyway, hey, it's good to see you again. And it's been a couple of years. What have you been up to since the last time I saw you? Last time I saw you, in fact, was at the Open Chord in Knoxville when you were doing a gig there.
I think we went back this year again to Open Chord, and I think we've gotten to play in 21, 22, and 23. And so that's rad. But we've just been on the road, man. We've just been working really hard at really getting our live show where we want it, and stuff with the band, because the Open Chord would have been an acoustic show. So
right.
We gotta get you a band show one of these days.
I got to, man. I keep watching Bev's emails for things. She does an amazing job promoting her clients, and especially you. And I am anxious to see you with the band, because I think I've seen you twice just on your own, and you put on a great acoustic show, man, especially by yourself. That's
thank you.
That's not always done with people. Pardon me?
I said it's very fun, but it's way different. The band show, totally different. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it to change so much. So I'm always anxious to when people see the band show for the first time.
Yeah,
I hope they'll like it.
Well, before we get into your new single, I'm curious. This is the third time I've interviewed you. I think technically fourth, but the very first time I interviewed you was just before we were finding out the world was shutting down. So,
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah,
I know. I did. We did do a whole lot of stuff right before 2020, and then we were like, "Man, I hope that wasn't all for nothing." And it all worked out. But
yeah. But that first one went into permanent quarantine, and so it may be for one of those outtake kind of publications.
I know. Just we've talked about that a little bit too. In just interviews I saw last year about recording an album in 2020, and how interesting that was, and I think I did my first radio single in 2020. I did my first album in 2020. Like, just a wild time in history, I feel like, to have been making music the way that we were. So I think it's kind of rad. As much as I hated it at the time, I'm like, I made my first stuff in quarantine. That's kind of cool.
It's like kids being born on 9/11. One of my
Exactly.
nieces is born on 9/11, and so indelibly marked there. So
Right. Right.
so to all that point, and since that first interview that was never published, I'm just curious, between then and now, what were your views going to be? And I am going to get to your single, but I'm really curious about this. I mean, you come from a background that you had a really good idea what this business is going to be like, right? So there was no misguided ideas or illusions. You had pretty good insight, pretty good guidance, I would imagine. But still, is there a big difference between what you thought it was going to be like then, 3 years ago, almost 4, and what it has turned out to be up to date, as far as the business, as far as receptivity, as far as your goals, things like that?
The business has been really, really interesting, and really, in some ways, like, it's got its weird parts, but it's been really, really encouraging to just like watch this town make the shifts that it has and the decisions that it's made and that kind of stuff, especially like geared towards like the overall business of Nashville when it comes to like streaming and how like we're fitting into this big monster of a business. And then also like in a personal route too, I feel like it's been equally as encouraging as it's been like um, much different than expected. But also, just to say on the preface, like, I moved to this town knowing absolutely nothing about Nashville or the business or anything about it. Like, my family and I grew up in Oklahoma on a ranch, and we played sports. You know what I mean? So like, I really didn't have too much of an expectation. I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew that it was going to be. I knew that it was going to be a job and that it was going to be a business, and I was really, really excited about that. And I will say this: I'm very proud to say I am still just as excited about it. It's been really, really awesome. It's been really encouraging. And I do think we have like a little different visions as we had maybe 3 years ago or so. But I don't know if that's because of the music or if that's just because like just personal life, right? After 2020, everything, shifted so much for everybody. And I think a lot of things became more important than others. And that's definitely changed like kind of how the music sounds and maybe what we choose to sing about. So that's been exciting to like grow into as well, all leading up to the music that we have out now, which is so different than anything we would have been doing 3 years ago.
I agree. It's well, you and I both know Nashville is both a fun town and a brutal town, and
Mm-hmm.
I when I'm glad I just get to write about everybody decides to pursue that for a career. I don't think I could ever hold up and under the pressure that artists have to undergo, and people just directly tied to artists, because it's tough in all areas of that business. And I don't think fans really realize what it takes to get a song to them,
No, I don't think they do. And I don't know if they're supposed to, I have that battle a lot. I get so frustrated sometimes. I'm like, oh, I just wish you guys understood more of like how it works. But then at the same point in time, it's like, this is music. Like, this is magic. Like, can you imagine if the magician was just so mad at you that you didn't understand how his tricks worked? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
you're just supposed to enjoy it. So I want so badly for them to understand as well, just like selfishly, I think what it takes to make just a song, nonetheless, an album, nonetheless, a brand, and nonetheless getting it to them, like you said. But also, like, at the end of the day, like, music is magic. And I think that they just get to enjoy it as much as I want them to like go actually buy music again and like, but they just get to enjoy it, I think.
well, I know you probably can't tell this, but I have your single cover all
No,
over.
it looks so good. It looks so rad. At first, honestly, I was like, what is that? Like, what is the background? And then I looked at it a little bit and I was like, I designed that right there. I know.
Well, I thought you might like that. So
Looks rad.
I love the song. I mean, I think I mean, I jotted some words down that came to mind as I was listening to it. I think it's tough. I think it's raw. I think it's obviously flirty and
Yeah,
edgy. I hesitated using that word because it was overused a few years ago.
I'll take
But
edgy. I'll
yeah,
take.
yeah. But I mean, do you, when I say those, do you agree with that? Do you think those are fair
Yeah.
descriptions of the song
No, I think
itself?
that's exactly what it is. That's what it feels like to perform it, like, um, and tattoos too. I always like to mention this because I think, it goes unnoticed by a lot of people, but this was a collaborative song. You know what I mean? So, on the artwork that you've got all behind you looking all rad, it's got me and my producer on it in the sense of like, I linked up with a what I would kind of call like a pop producer for this song. So he took just as much responsibility for the song and what it sounds like as I did, which was incredibly cool. Like I feel like it didn't go like a Western way, like all of our stuff would normally go. It went in this incredibly pop, like very flirty, like you said, song. And I think that that was so cool. But I always like to shout out Dom on this one because he's so responsible for how cool this song is, to be honest. Like I don't do pop stuff like this. And so to get to write the song, I was like, this has to be a different release for us. It can't sound like all of our other stuff. And so that's why it's an Allie Colleen and a Prod by Dom project. So always shout out to Dom because he's phenomenal and he's so good. But yeah, this is a very tough song, but also like a very like tried to be very sexy and like sensual song. So it's kind of interesting. It kind of rubs against like kind of my personality a little bit, but it's been really fun to perform.
That's what I thought. I mean, I don't claim to know you like as a friend or anything, but we've talked a few times and met you in person a couple times. And when I heard the song, I thought, okay, this sounds different before I even heard the lyrics. I mean, I knew the tattoo theme was associated with you because you have like one or two very small tattoos, right?
Giro.
So I thought, okay, that's not a surprise. But then once I press play, it's like, whoa, okay,
Yeah,
this is
there's a
this
lot
is decidedly different, but I liked it. What's been the response from those that's heard it so far?
It's been really awesome to see it. I will say in the live show, if they're not familiar with it, they do just kind of watch. Like they just kind of watch it, and then at the end of it, they absolutely love it. But if you get to see the show, you'll know what I mean. It's very funny, but it's awesome. And then if there's girls at the show that know the song, they just lose their mind, and it's very fun to like to perform it with them and to do the thing. But it's been really really cool. I'm lucky that my fans have been really receptive of like my life outside of music, and I love fitness. I don't claim to be any kind of wild fitness training person, but I just love fitness. And so that community of my social following loves this song as well. Like it's like everybody's gym song. And that's been kind of cool to like just see those little lifelines of mine overlap. And that's been really cool.
So, what's been in performing this? What's been the craziest thing you've witnessed in the crowd as you've performed it?
I mean, I'm just still at that point where I'm so lucky and so blessed that everybody leaves loving the music. Like, not everybody, but most of them, they really like it. And a lot of people aren't familiar with us and they're seeing us at a show for the first time, whether it be a festival where they came for somebody else, you know what I mean? Or they were just at the fair or whatever the case may be. So, all that to say, a lot of times when we're performing in these new areas, our audiences don't know who we are. They just happen to be there and like they're engaging with the music. So I'm very lucky to have a lot of people leave being big fans of the music and then coming back to shows later. And that's very cool. But I'm just now at this place where it's starting to become a thing where like people know the music, you know what I mean? Like when they come to the shows. And I just think that that's to me is just still wild. Like just singing tattoos and just seeing like a much younger crowd than I feel like I really had received my music like just really lose their mind and like perform with me. Like it's been very, very fun, like from stage to watch it and to be a part of it. And so nothing too wild, I guess, but to me it's absolutely crazy.
Well, but I'm surprised by that, Allie, because I would think after a swaller and holler bit in the middle of the show, there might be some voluntary showing of the tattoos
Oh,
ritual.
we've seen all the things that are to be seen. A lot of our crazy stuff happens in the merch line though. So I sell all my merch at my show, and that's when we see a lot of body parts because we have to sign them. Like you get your wild ones. But for the most part, when it comes to performing and stuff, everybody just dances. Like we're just dancing, and it's very, very fun. But I do get some rowdy ones later. I think I've been proposed to 4 or 5 times in my meet and
Is,
greet so
is
far.
that right? Anything tempting?
No, everyone's just added to the no list. And usually their wives are filming it too. It's a very strange interaction, but it's happened multiple times. They're just weird, goofy people, I guess.
So, as far, I mean, I guess what we just talked about is considered feedback, but is there any other feedback that you've seen? Maybe somebody drop you a note or something that you found particularly cool, unique, insightful when it came to
Something
the
that
song?
something that I really, really love about the way that we're using social media now is like obviously there's all the comments and like the messages and the planet that you get that are amazing feedback and kind and cool. We have a lot of people that get like wildflower tattoos. So wildflower is a pretty well-known song of mine.
Right.
And so I've got just a lot of women that go and they get wildflower tattoos and they'll put the lyrics over them. And because I've got a wildflower sleeve and everything. So that's always very cool. I've got a lot of women and men that go and get like my signature tattooed, which has been very cool. So like very tattooy stuff. But my favorite thing is like you can go on TikTok or Instagram or whichever one you like, and you can go and you can see how everyone is using your audio. You know what I mean? So if someone wanted to make a video with my song in the background, I can go and watch those. And I think that's my favorite thing. Like we released a song called Honest Man, and I encouraged everybody to like use the audio just to support their man, like just to make him feel good. And just like hundreds of women just like making these really cute like slideshows of like their their husbands and their babies and their families, and like, oh, it just kills me. Like I think that's my favorite thing. And so I've done it with tattoos, I've done it with halos and horns and that kind of thing. Where I'll go and I'll watch those audios on social media, and it just kills me.
That has to be, I mean, the closest I come is if anybody shares any of my interviews with their network, but I
Yeah.
can only imagine to be a songwriter and performer and to see that take place like you just described, or somebody come up to you and tell you what that song meant to them. I mean, for me, I'll listen to a song and it'll take me back to when I was,
Yeah.
younger than you are now, and take me back to my high school years or whatever. And the first few notes will do that instantly. And I can only imagine, though, being the writer of a song like that, to where people are coming up to you at your shows or dropping you a note and saying, "This your song meant this to me." What? How? Tell me about that. How does that
I mean,
feel to you?
it's really wild, and I don't know how every other artist receives their stuff. So I'm sure that this isn't like maybe I'm sure everyone loves it, but I love those interactions that have absolutely nothing to do with me. Like you get those people after the show that want to tell you how great you are and that what you're doing for women and what you going and doing your dream is done for somebody else and all that stuff. And it's so genuine, it's so kind. But that kind of stuff makes me a little squeamish. I'm like, you don't know me. What if we hung out for a day and you didn't even like me? Like, you don't know me. Like, oh, and those just make me feel, I don't know if that's a weird like imposter syndrome thing, but those conversations I feel like are really tough. But when people come up to me and it's just the music, you know what I mean? Like when they use your song for their first dance, or when you have a song that got them through, like what you were talking about, like being a songwriter. And it's just like, it has nothing to do with me. And like you just have this amazing little lifeline. And for some wild reason, you let my song be a part of like your little soundtrack. Like that's insane to me. Like that's the stuff that just makes you want to cry and just turn into nothing. Like, oh my gosh. It's so cool. And that and kids. I'm a weird person. I'm actually not really, I don't really like kids. I sit at the kids' table rather. I'm like one of those kind of kids. But like I don't have a parenting bone in my body. I don't have that. I don't want to. I'm an aunt and I will be forever. But like watching kids dance during shows is my favorite thing on the planet, I think. I think I spent almost 45 minutes after a show the other day trying to teach this little girl how to mean mug, because she just had like the sweetest little face.
Oh,
And she just kept doing like my horns for halos and horns, but she would smile. And I'd be like, no, you got to get like tough and angry. And it took us forever to find a mean bone in her body, but I found one. I was obsessed. So sweet.
wow. Well, it's my hat's off to you to be able to, because when you do a song that means something to somebody, honestly, like I just described how it is for me. I mean, I'm going to be turning 64 in a couple of months, and I can hear a song from 1973 and I'm flashed back to my freshman year of high school, So it takes a special gift. And for you to have that, I mean, you're doing that today for somebody that, 50 years from now, they're going to hear your song. And that's going to have that kind of, I mean, to me, that's just monumental. And I envy you for that,
That is very cool.
So I'm going to ask a very dumb question now, as if maybe some of mine haven't been dumb already, but is this song going to be part of a future LP, or are you just doing singles right now for leading up to something?
I think this will be a part of like its own thing going forward, just because traditionally, an album will have a sole producer. So kind of when you start, so all these singles have had different producers, you know what I mean? So the next project will be hopefully all brand new music. I will say we want to center the entire second album around Halos and Horns. So I do think Halos and Horns will make it onto the second album as like a cohesive project. But I don't think like Tattoos or even Feels Like or Honest Man or any of the singles that we've had since the last album will merge onto the second album. You know what I mean? I imagine it'll be 12 just brand new songs. I have all those songs all ready to go. We just haven't gotten into the studio yet with them because we've been on the road. So we've got a lot of recording to do, but I've got all the music and I'm so proud of it. And it's very like that spooky Western that like Halos and Horns kind of took it to that level, but then it keeps like the narratives that like fed the Stones album so well. So really excited about like sonically what the next music will sound like. And then even more excited about what we're going to choose to like talk about, and give a voice in this whole world of music. So I'm very excited.
Well, cool. So what's on your radar for the rest of the year and going into 2024?
We've got some shows lined up for the rest of the year that we're excited about. And then we're hoping to get back to some venues that we got to play at the beginning of the year, which is my favorite thing to do. So on the road a lot if we can be. And then again, really hoping around Christmas time when everything kind of slows down that I can get in the studio and start making music again, because I love the music that we have out, but I'm so bored with it. I'm ready for new stuff and I'm ready to play new stuff in the live set and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited. We have some artist collaborations that we're really, really proud of, but we can't talk about yet. And all that.
Not.
I know. Isn't that, I remember hearing that all the time, like watching artists as a kid and being like, that can't be real. And now I'm sitting here like, I genuinely can't tell people about this and I really want to, and I'm mad about it. But I'm very excited. Very excited.
Well, hopefully when that happens, though, and you can talk about it, I hope you'll come and visit with me again so we can talk about it.
Oh, I would love
get
to.
in trouble. So I'll reach out to Bev as I always do, which, by the way, I love working with Bev. You got a wonderful woman on your side there.
The best. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. She's one, and you know what? She's fair. She's honest. She's full of integrity. Bev, when you're seeing this is not a suck up ploy on my part. I mean it.
It is on mine. I love Beverly.
She's a gem. She's a rarity. So, but well, Allie, I sure appreciate you taking the time to visit with me on this, and we will talk more down the road.
Absolutely.
And I'll keep an eye on your itinerary, whether it's a solo acoustic gig or with the band. Either one, I'm going to come see. I'm sorry I missed you on the last stop in Knoxville, but I promise you I will do my best for that never to happen again.
That's okay. So, hopefully we'll bring the boys with us next time and we'll make some noise. But thank you for making room for us on your platform, as you always do. You've got the whole world to pick from. So thank you so much. And we'll be doing it. I'd love to.
All right. Well, thank you. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.